It is Monday, July 23rd, 9:08 a.m. This is day one of the 7 in 7 Read-A-Thon. I am headed to work, but I'm taking The Mystery at Lilac Inn by Caroline Keene. This is going to be my first book, or at least one of them. When I get back home and have more time, I'll go through the challenges and show you my entire TBR. But for now, I have to go, so I'll see you later. It is 5:16 p.m. I did not vlog at all yesterday, aside from like 2 clips, but I did finish an entire book. So that's good progress, and I've moved on to my second book, which I am about 100 pages in. Today was my last day of work for a while, so I have the rest of the week to dedicate to reading. I have work at home to do, but I have quite a few audiobooks on my TBR, so that won't be a problem at all. Now that I finally have time to spare, I'm going to go through the challenges and show you my entire TBR. Challenge number 1, read 7 books. The book I chose is Anne of the Island by L.M. Montgomery. I am so excited to finally be continuing with this series. Anne of Green Gables is one of my favorite classics. I absolutely adore it, and I don't know why it's taken me so long to continue and finish the series. Challenge 2, read a book with a yellow cover or spine. For this, I chose The Mystery at Lilac Inn by Caroline Keene. This is part of the Nancy Drew Mystery Stories. Challenge 3, read something outside your norm / comfort zone. For this, I chose the complete tales and poems of Edgar Allan Poe. This is a really pretty leather-bound Barnes & Noble edition. This is also an audiobook online that is free, so I can also listen to this while I'm working. The reason I chose this is because I've always wanted to read Poe. He has a dark style that really speaks to my soul, but I never read poetry. I don't know why. So I'm going to read this poetry collection and also short stories. Challenge 4, read a book that starts with your first initial. Already started this one, Little House on the Prairie by Laura Ingalls Wilder. And I am on page 107. Challenge 5, read a book outside or a book that takes place mostly outside. It is extremely hot right now. There have actually been warnings that if you don't have to be outside, don't be outside. So I'm going to read a book that takes place mostly outside, maybe even completely outside. Tarzan of the Apes. This is one of the classics that I've really wanted to read because it's my favorite Disney movie, and I know that the Disney movie is probably very different, but still, that's what's inspired me to want to read this book. This is a free audiobook as well, so it's another one that I can read while working. Challenge 6 is read a book and make a drink or food that matches or is inspired by it. I chose A Fatal Winter by G.M. Mallier. This is book 2. I really enjoyed book 1, and I can't wait to get to this. Even though it's hot, I'm going to be making some hot cocoa at some point while reading this to really get into the winter spirit. I am really excited for the 7th and final challenge. Read a book that takes place in your hometown or is written by an author from your hometown. This can also be like your home country, your home state. It doesn't have to be your exact city. I'm reading a book that takes place in my home state. It's actually a reread, and it's my favorite book of all time. Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. This book is not just a romance. It goes so much deeper than that. It's actually based on the story of Hosea from the Bible, but this version takes place in California during the gold rush in the 1800s. The main character in the book is called Michael Hosea. God calls him to marry a woman named Angel, who is a prostitute. The amazing thing is that it's not a one-time deal. She doesn't just go like, oh yeah, okay, sure, I'll marry you because, God told you to marry me. It takes a lot of work. She even goes back to her lifestyle because she doesn't feel worthy of Michael's love. It is an incredible story, and I've been wanting to reread it for so long. I also want to show you this candle from In the Wick of Time. I had never, ever seen Francine River-inspired candles. I didn't even think they existed. And then when I was researching bookish candle companies, I came across this candle and I had to get it. I am off to put on my pajamas and finally wind down after working this morning. I might be reading for a little bit. I really would like to try and finish this today. Since I don't work tomorrow, it is a possibility that I stay up and read like I did last night. My brother's off this week, which is also difficult because I want to take advantage and spend time with him. We're actually going to the beach Friday. That's going to be a blast. Got a new boogie board today. I will hopefully check in with you a little later. If I finish this book, I will definitely be seeing you before tomorrow. It is currently 1 a.m. and I am exhausted, but I did it. I read Little House on the Prairie. I have now read 2 books and completed 2 challenges. That is obviously the end of reading day 2, so I'm gonna hit the hay. Get it? Prairie. Hey, I'm going to bed. Good night. It is 10:39 p.m. Wow, okay, sorry. I thought I would give you a reading update to end the night. I worked all afternoon on the computer. I was exhausted afterwards, and then my mom and I, since the boys are gone for the night, we watched The Greatest Showman for the very first time. It was so good. It was really weird to watch a musical that I already knew like every word to. Despite being busy with computer work, I listened to an audiobook and got a lot of reading done. I was listening to Tarzan of the Apes, and I actually made it all the way to chapter 17, page 155, which is a little more than halfway through. So that's really good. I'm hoping tomorrow I can have another good computer day and finish this up and maybe move on to my next audiobook. I was also able to read a physical book. I started Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers, and I read 103 pages. I was going to do some more computer work, but honestly, I'm exhausted from staring at a screen, so I think I'm just going to give it a rest for the night and start a third book, A Fatal Winter by G.M. Mallier. I think I mentioned this before, but this is a cozy mystery series that takes place in an English village, and it has a map. How adorable is that? I really wanted to get a video up tomorrow, and I have a short little haul that I could throw together tonight. I could quickly edit it and read while it's exporting and uploading. It might happen. It just might happen. It is 11:55. Today is day 4 of the 7 and 7 Read-A-Thon. Quick update on last night. I did end up editing and scheduling a video in record time. It went up this morning at 8 a.m. It's just a quick thrift store book haul. After that, my brother got home from the soccer game and we ended up watching a couple of episodes of The Office. At this point, it was 1 a.m. and I should have gone to bed, but I was stubborn and determined to do more reading, so I started A Fatal Winter and forced myself to keep going until page 37, which is honestly a recipe for a book slump, but whatever. I just read another 50 pages in Redeeming Love, actually a little more than 50. I'm on page 159. Before bed tonight, I definitely want to finish up another 50. These two books aren't anywhere near done, and I really should complete a book today. Tarzan of the Apes is the closest, and I have a lot of computer work to do anyways, so that audiobook will be on all afternoon. It is now 2:33 p.m. I've worked for 2 hours straight, so I took a little break. I was needing some fuel. I got some veggies and a little bit of dip, and I made myself a homemade frappuccino. I'm gonna take a break to eat while still listening to my audiobook, and then I will be back at it on the computer. Going into hour 5 of working on my computer, and I just finished listening to Tarzan of the Apes, which means my third book for the readathon is complete. I think I'm going to start the complete tales and poems of Edgar Allan Poe next. I'm also waiting patiently for dinner from Flame Broiler because I am hungry. I guess I'll keep working for now, so I'll update you a little later. It is 10:30. I should really be going to bed now, which I will be once I finish one last Edgar Allan Poe story. It will be my 8th for the day, which is like barely a dent in this monstrosity. But so far I've been finding the audiobooks I need to make my way through this collection. I didn't read much in Redeeming Love today, but I at least read something. I'm currently on page 170, and yesterday I finished a couple pages past 100. So not too bad. I almost made my 100-page goal for the day. I just didn't have time. There's too much going on, and audiobooks were much more convenient for the workday that I had. At this point, realistically, I think I might end up reading 5 or 6 books by Sunday, which is totally fine. I'm gonna finish up my Edgar Allan Poe story, the audiobook that I'm listening to, and then I'm gonna hit the hay because we're hitting the road at like 7 a.m. I will see you tomorrow at the beach. It's only like 6:08 a.m. I just can't sleep anymore, so I might just get up and start getting ready. But I didn't sleep at all last night. I don't know if I was just excited, all this hair, or if my brain was still wound up from all the work I did, all the books I read. Either way, I don't know if I can go back to sleep. It is 4:04 p.m. I just took a shower and I am beat up and sore and exhausted, but it was a super fun day. We spent about three and a half hours at the beach, and then we had burgers and coffee in the cute little downtown area. Let me show you all of my battle wounds because I have quite the story to tell. Keep in mind, I was in salt water, so they've already started to heal. I have a scratch right there. I have, can you see that? Scratches all up and down my arm. I also have this really bad rash from the boogie board that stings. And then my legs, which didn't get much color at all, are all beat up. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Before I start my story, I don't know the science behind waves or the parts of waves. My brother and I started boogie boarding too close to the jetty on the left side, which essentially just sucks you out farther into the ocean. We were paying attention, but we didn't really notice until we were starting to get pretty far out towards the end of the jetty. We just kind of looked at each other and, you know, we're like swimming and swimming, trying to get back. Swimming and swimming, trying to get back. Eventually, we tired ourselves out from trying to swim. We were getting absolutely nowhere, kind of starting to panic. It was getting scary. Finally, I look at him and I'm like, we have to get back. And I see the jetty. I know how dangerous it is to be on the jetty because the waves just crash into it, but I couldn't think of any other way to get back because we had tired ourselves out. Both of us are pretty good swimmers. We're strong, but we weren't going anywhere, and we couldn't go anywhere because of that pull. So we get to the jetty, and little by little, we start making our way to the shore. At one point, a surfer swam by and told us something about swimming away from the jetty, but I was so scared that I just nodded politely, but it didn't really register. We were finally able to make it back, but as you can tell, we got beat up from the rocks, climbing on them, clinging to them, the waves smashing us into them. Our dad was there, and he explained to us that you have to go farther out this way towards the middle, where the pull out to the ocean isn't as strong as the pull towards the shore. Something like that. The pull isn't as strong. We looked at each other and decided to get back up on that horse. We walked further out that way, and it was much, much better. It's one of those you live and you learn type of moments, but man, was it scary. I also want to thank the people that were looking out for us. When we were walking back to the safer side of the beach, a lady and her daughter stopped us and asked if we were okay. She said that she saw we were struggling, and she told the lifeguard to keep an eye on us just in case we needed help. Even though it's embarrassing and afterwards I felt like the beach idiot, I am glad people were looking out for us. Dramatic story time over. It was a great day. I'm exhausted, but it was a great day. Reading updates. I didn't read a ton in the car, especially on the way back, but I did read some. I made it to page 196. I don't know what I'll be doing for the rest of the day. I know me and my brother are going to watch a movie later. We want to watch Baywatch, inspired by our day at the beach. I go back to computer work tomorrow, but I don't want to think about that, so I'm just gonna relax now. It is 11 p.m. My brother and I ended up watching The Office and then Baywatch. I probably should have gone to bed right away, but I didn't. I pushed myself to do at least a little bit of reading. I didn't meet my 100-page goal for the day, but I did end up making it to page 259. At this point, it's looking like instead of finishing 6 books in 7 days, I'll end up finishing 4 or 5 books, which I'm totally okay with. That is still a great accomplishment for me. I'm gonna go to bed now because I am exhausted and everything hurts. I will see you tomorrow for day 6. It's 3:04 p.m. Saturday, July 28th. I haven't turned on my camera all day. I actually woke up at 9 a.m. because I went to bed at a decent hour. Still really sore today, but feeling a tiny bit better. I wanted to turn on the camera because I've been reading Redeeming Love all day. I'm very close to finishing, like within 40 pages. And I didn't catch this on camera, but the last chapter had me in tears. This book deals with some extremely heavy subject matter: brothels, prostitution, sexual assault. It's easy to look at a book like this and say it took place in America in the 1800s, but it's fiction, it didn't actually happen. Unfortunately, it's the kind of thing that, doesn't have an expiration date. Like, oh, it's the 21st century now. That stuff just doesn't happen. It absolutely does. The whole theme of the book is redemption. It's a love story that is supposed to mirror God's love for us. No matter how many times we screw up and reject Him, maybe even go back to an old lifestyle that destroyed us, but the addiction, we go right back to it. He's still there to pick us up if we're willing to let Him. I honestly can't recommend this book enough. It is now 4:39 p.m. and I just finished Redeeming Love. I teared up throughout the last chapter, but I resisted full out crying until I got to the end of the epilogue. I just let go and gave in to the emotion. I don't even know how I'm gonna move on to my next book, but I have to.
I despise your insinuations, equivocations, adumbrations. In short, sir, your entire peroration. I am of sufficient age to take care of myself.
I just cried for, I don't know, the third or fourth time today because, as most people know by now, Demi Lovato overdosed earlier this week and ended up in the hospital. She was supposed to sing tonight, and obviously she couldn't make it, so fans gathered at the concert site to sing some of her songs, which include a new song called Sober.
Mama, I'm so sorry, I'm not sober anymore. And Daddy, please forgive me for the drink spilled on the floor. To the ones who never left me, we've been down this road before. I'm so sorry, I'm not sober.
Is 2:10 p.m., somewhere around there. I should definitely be in bed because I'm exhausted, but I've been forcing myself to read, which sounds terrible, but I really want to at least finish 5 books for the Read-A-Thon. I ended up on page 156. Tomorrow, that means I have to read a little over 200 pages. As long as I'm up early enough to get a good start, I should be okay, but we'll see. I'm reading really slow right now, which is saying something because I already read slow. I can hardly keep my eyes open, so I'm gonna go to bed. It is 3:46 p.m. Today is the 7th and final day of the 7 in 7 Read-A-Thon. I was up at 10:30 this morning and I did some reading, ate breakfast, listened to church, and then my family went out to eat. And now I'm gonna settle in and try and finish this book as well as take some breaks to edit this vlog. It is 11:47 p.m. I'm gonna go ahead and recap everything I read. I ended up reading 5 books and completing 5 challenges. First up, I read The Mystery at Lilac Inn, which completed the challenge Read a Book with Yellow on the cover or the spine. Next, I read Little House on the Prairie by Laura Ingalls Wilder. This completed the challenge for reading a book that starts with your first initial. Next, I read Tarzan of the Apes by Edgar Rice Burroughs. This completed the challenge of reading a book outside or reading a book that took place mostly outside. I read Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. This completed the challenge of reading a book that takes place in your hometown, home state, or home country. Last but not least, I read A Fatal Winter. This completed the challenge of making a food or drink that matched or was inspired by a book. This story takes place in winter during Christmas time, so I made a cup of hot cocoa tonight while reading the final chapters. I quickly realized that summertime is not the best time for that beverage, so I added some ice cubes to make it less hot, but you get the point. I would love to hear from you down below in the comments if you participated in the Read-A-Thon, and if you did, how many books did you read? How many challenges did you complete? Did you enjoy it? Will you be back next year? I know that I probably will. It was really fun. Please give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the red button down below to subscribe and become a member of my YouTube family. Also, click the bell to turn on your notifications. I will see you in my next video. Bye!